All right, hello everybody. Welcome to our Move-In and Residence Life webinar. I know you've maybe attended some of these already, but there's lots of new changes happening and we want to make sure everybody has current information. So thank you so much for joining us. This is a webinar for students who are going to be living on campus in the fall. So if there's any confusion about that and that's not you, you do not feel like you need to stay. This will be specific to students who will be living on campus with us in the fall. We'll be taking your questions, giving you some more information about Move-In, and introduce you to some folks here that you will need to know for the future. So please feel free to send us your questions via the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We'll get started here in just a second once all of our participants have had a chance to log in. But like I said, we'll get to as many questions as we can. And we'll get started here in just a moment. My name is Kelly. If you don't know me, I work in the Office of Admission. I may be some of your admission counselors. So I am here to facilitate, get through your questions, and make sure that everybody is feeling comfortable about the information that we have at this time. So once again, we'll give just a quick second. This webinar is being recorded. So if you have any issues with hearing us or getting logged in, we're happy to send you the recording at a later date. But like I said, just one more second. Again, my name is Kelly. We'll let our other participants, our other panelists introduce themselves here in just a moment, give you some more information, and then we'll get into the Q&As, as many as we can. We have two folks from our Residence Life staff here, as well as two of our members of our Residence Life, I just said that, members of our RA staff, so student ambassadors who work for our Residence Life staff as resident advisors. So they can give you some perspective as well. Okay, looks like we're at a pretty steady number of attendees here. So I will stop talking and let our panelists introduce themselves. Why don't we go to Blake first, and then we'll go to Natasha.
Sure. Hey, everybody. You might have seen me before. Blake Petty. I am our Director of Residence Life. Excited to talk about move-in stuff today. Go ahead, Natasha.
Hi, everyone. Natasha Bird, Associate Director of Residence Life, Health and Wellness. Happy to chat with you all as well.
Perfect. And we'll let Talia say hi, and then Justin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Talia Weinstein. I am the Community Advisor for Trayer Hall.
Hi, everyone. I'm Justin Bennett. I'm the Community Advisor for Bowdoin Magby and Alumni Halls.
Perfect. All right. So as we said, Talia and Justin are current students who work as community advisors on campus. So they're like head RAs. They'd be somebody that you need to know if you're on campus, if they are in your building. Every building has their own community advisor. Is that right? Yes. Okay, every building has their own community advisor, so you'll get to know yours, and they'll be an important person for you to know. But let's go ahead and jump in. I will let Blake and Natasha give us some information about updates to Move-In Day here in a couple of weeks, and some communications that have been sent out, and then we'll jump into your questions.
Thanks, Kelly. So first, I want to start by saying thank you. If you're living on campus, we're excited to have you. I'm excited to let you move in next week on the 4th. I can't believe it's almost a week away. It feels like it has been this long thing that we've been learning and journeying for this whole summer, and now it's finally here. So we're excited to welcome you back to campus, but excited to welcome you back to campus safely. Everyone here, if you're living on campus, should have gotten an email on Friday of last week. It was sent probably around 5 p.m. on Friday. And it should have included a couple things, and I want to talk about those things here. And then answer your questions regarding them. The first thing that it should have included was information about your new room assignment. So some of you had to move rooms for a couple different reasons. If you were on a community bathroom floor, you had to move because we're going to close those spaces for the fall. If you were in Trayer, for example, and there was 2 or 3 people in your suite, we had to move you out of that space. So right now we're going with the housing configuration of every person has their own bedroom, and every person has their own bathroom. That means nobody on campus is sharing a bathroom with anybody. No matter where you're living, you are by yourself, and you're going to have your room to yourself. So you should have received that new instruction on about your new housing assignment. The second thing you received was information about move-in. So whenever you get ready for move-in, there was a form that you needed to fill out to sign up for a move-in time. So in order to try to keep social distancing, in order to not overwhelm our testing site, and in order to be able to check you in efficiently, we're asking you to sign up for a move-in slot. That link was very specific to your residence hall, so If your friend in another residence hall missed it, make sure you don't send them yours. It's very specific to your residence hall. If they need a link, email us and we can get it to you, okay? We are asking that you fill that link out by this Friday. What that will do is that will let us know information more about how to schedule your move in and how the logistics will work for move in. So we're trying to make sure that if there's 10 people in one slot, we do the logistics and the traffic flow on campus appropriately. So this Friday is the deadline to do that. If you don't fill that form out, we're going to assign you a time ourselves. So make sure you fill that form out so we can schedule the exact time that you want to come onto campus to get your COVID test and to move in, okay? The other part of that obviously is the COVID test. Everyone that's coming onto campus is going to be required to get a COVID test. You're going to do your testing here in the Turner Lynch Campus Center. We'll release a little bit more information about how that's going to work next week, but a general gist is you're going to go to your residence hall first, and then you're going to walk to the Turner Lynch Campus Center. Just you as your student. Parents, guests, anybody that comes to help you move in must stay in your car and must stay at the residence hall area. Only students will be allowed through the Turner Lynch Campus Center. And we'll have a lot of signage on where to go, how to get in there, and things like that. So testing will happen here. You'll get tested. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes after you're tested for your results to come in. You'll meet with a doctor from Peachtree Immediate Care, who's right next door. You'll meet with them, and then if you're negative, you're going to be released back to your residence hall to check in and to move into your residence hall, okay? Again, more specific on logistics, traffic flow, those small details will be released next week after we kind of have that final move-in time there. The other thing that was included in that email is the stuff about quarantining before and after you arrive to campus. So we're asking a couple different things of you. We're asking that you quarantine or self-isolate as best as possible over the next 2 weeks. I'm sure you've heard by now that we have 2 public health consultants that we're meeting with very regularly. And they have told us that the 2 weeks before, the 2 weeks after the start of the semester are the most vulnerable times for our entire population. So for all of us as staff, for all of you as students, that is the most vulnerable time. So we're asking that these 2 weeks before, you really, really avoid crowds, avoid indoor restaurants, wear your mask anytime you're outside of your home. If you are going to go outside, make sure you're maintaining 6 feet of distance from you and the other person, and you have your mask on. So really doing all of those things you can now to prevent you bringing the virus to campus. The second part of that is that petrol pause. So the second 2 weeks after you all get here is another time that's really, really, really important that we try to maintain and keep the spread of the virus from happening. So we're going to ask that you stay on campus as much as possible. This means avoiding going home, means avoiding going off campus to events or going to indoor restaurants, going to anything like that. We're going to ask that you really try to stay on campus, use the amenities we have on campus, use the beautiful campus that we have, walk around, enjoy, and go to class. Obviously, that's going to be very important, but it's going to really help limit the spread of the virus on campus. If we're able to do those things and we're able to control the spread of the virus on campus, then we feel pretty good about the rest of the semester going forward. It's really that kind of 2-week time frame that we're the most worried about. I'm sure everyone's seen on the news the big outbreaks that are happening at big state schools around. If you look, it's about that 2-week window. That first week, that first 2 weeks, that's when all of these things are happening. And that's why we know, hey, this is a vulnerable time for our community. If we can hunker down and make it through those first 2-3 weeks, we're going to be set up for success as we go forward. So all of those things should have been included in the email. Reference it as much as you need to, ask questions as much as you need to. That's a general overview, but I'm sure I'll answer some more specifics as needed. So that's kind of what I have for now.
All right, perfect. Shall I jump into questions, or is there anything else folks want to mention before we get to the Q&A? Go for questions. Okay, so we have some that are related to what you were just talking about, Blake, and some that are more general about just rooms in general. So I'll start with the more time-sensitive stuff. Okay, so this is from Anonymous. So they're clarifying. So I'm guessing they mean guests. drive to residence hall and wait in the car while the students get tested. And then after they get the negative result, we will move them into the residence hall.
That's exactly right. And again, we'll give you some more logistics on exactly where to go. But the goal is you come onto campus. We're not going to have you routed through any kind of anything at the front of campus. You're going to go straight to your residence hall and park in front of your residence hall. There's going to be some designated parking spots there for move in. And then your student's going to go get tested. Exactly. It can take, again, 20, 30, 45 minutes to get tested. It just depends on how backed up they are, kind of how that traffic flow is going there inside the TLCC. But yes, guests will stay in their car at the residence hall during that time period while they're on campus, and then you're allowed to move them in. One thing I didn't mention, and it was included in the email, and I'll go ahead and say it here. Guests, students, staff, anybody that's going to be on campus that day must wear a mask and wear a mask at all times. So especially anybody that's not being tested, please make sure you're wearing your mask, maintaining your social distance, and staying as much away as you can. When you're done moving your student in, we ask that you leave campus to where we're continuing to not risk our community with more and more people on campus. Because just as much as you want to be there with your student, we have more people coming behind you that want to be with their student. So the more people that leave after they've moved their student in, the easier it is and the safer it is for our community.
Okay. Also about move-in, this person asks, the time slots we have signed up for are only an hour long. Do we only have that hour to move in, or how much time will we have? Also, are students sleeping on campus starting the evening of the 4th?
Yeah, that's a good question. You don't have just that hour. What we're saying is we expect the testing to last 30 to 45 minutes. And then we expect your move-in time to last about another hour after that. So we don't have a set time of how long it will take you to move in. What we're asking is that you move your stuff in as quickly as possible. So you go and get all your stuff, you move into your room, and then you set up and organize, right? The room is yours. There's no one else moving in with you. So getting all your stuff out of your vehicle, out of whatever you're bringing, and getting it into your room and then setting up is what is preferred. So again, so more people can come in behind you and move. We expect fully that testing will take 30 to 45 minutes. So obviously then you would only have 15 minutes to move in. That's not possible. So we know that's going to happen. Of course, then the next people behind you would have more time that they got to come and get tested. We just ask you to be as efficient as possible.
Okay. Obviously, with the measures we are encouraged to take, we should not be tested positive, but if we are, would we have to go home? So what if a student is tested positive when they are come to campus?
So a good question. If you are asymptomatic, and this is not 100% finalized, so I'm going to speak generally, but also there's going to be some more information that is sent out by the end of this week or first of next week with this information. But if you are asymptomatic, if you get tested and you test positive and you're asymptomatic, you will be allowed to move onto campus and just quarantine in your residence hall based on the CDC's guidelines. So right now, what they're saying is asymptomatic people, you have 10 days to quarantine after your positive test, as long as no symptoms appear. So no symptoms, completely asymptomatic, and a positive test, you quarantine for 10 days. And then after that time, you're able to no longer stay in quarantine. If you are quarantined for any reason, we will deliver your meals to you. So you won't have to worry about going to the dining hall or anything like that. We'll deliver the meals to you. If you show up to campus and you're symptomatic, if you have a fever, you have a cough, something like that has happened, and you maybe just didn't pay attention to it at first, but whenever you came to campus, you realized, oh, I do have a fever, oh, I do have a cough, I haven't tasted anything a couple days. We'll probably ask you to go home at that time. You're going to meet with a physician on campus from Peachtree Immediate Care, and they're going to talk to you a little bit and kind of talk about your symptoms. But anybody that's symptomatic, we're going to ask to go back home for a minimum of, I believe it's 20 days after, if you have a positive test and after symptoms appear, but that's still being finalized. So it will just kind of depend. Again, the thing is if we really ask that you check your temperature daily for the next few weeks, monitor yourself for symptoms so you don't come to campus symptomatic to where we don't have to turn around and send you back home.
Okay. For the first 2 weeks, would y'all also like us to avoid being around others on campus? So does that pause extend to other students on the campus?
Sure. So we're generally around campus, the rules are going to be released later this week and first of next week. But the biggest thing to notice is there's going to be a no guest policy on campus. This means anybody from off campus is not allowed on campus. Only residential students are allowed on campus. You as a residential student are not allowed to visit other students' residence halls. You are only allowed in your residence hall room and your residence hall building. You can't go to someone else's room, even if it's in the same building. We're asking you to stay completely in your own room. You are allowed to socialize potentially outside, but if you do it outside, again, we're asking you to wear a mask and maintain social distance as much as possible, because we know those things are going to help, limit the spread on campus. So there will be some socialization on campus, but it's going to be extremely limited to just outside, and with a mask on and with social distancing, not in any residence hall.
Okay. Let's see. Will guests be allowed after the first 3 weeks if all goes well? I'm not sure if they mean from off campus or in their rooms, but it sounds like probably we're going to try to limit both. But
most likely we will. Guests present just a unique issue, and I tried to explain this the other day. There's two different ways of guests inside the residence halls and then outside guests. Anybody that's coming from outside, we know is not following the rules that we have on our campus, right? So we know that students on campus are following the guidelines we have set, and we know they're maintaining social distance and they're safe on campus. But people that come from outside are not. So guests coming from outside, for the most part, are going to be limited for a while. I don't know how long that will be. It'll at least be the first 2 weeks. It'll probably be at least the first couple months. I don't know when we'll allow guests on campus. Guests inside the residence halls also presents a unique issue. So it might be an opportunity after those first 2 weeks where we allow that, but it's going to be probably discouraged. And for this reason exactly, if you think about this, if you're in a residence hall room and you're by yourself, right? You're completely by yourself. If you become infected with the virus, and you're asymptomatic, you have no clue, you're not infecting anybody else because you're staying in your room. Even if you go outside, you're outside, right? You're maintaining social distance, you're wearing a mask, and you're outside from everybody. But all of a sudden, let's say your friend comes over to your room. Well, your room has the virus in it because that's where you're living. You're touching things in there. You're not wearing a mask in there. You're not doing social distancing in there because that's where you live, right? So all of a sudden, then your friend comes over, then you're infecting them with the virus, versus if you met your friend outside and you stayed 6 feet apart and you had a mask on, your risk of infection and infecting your friend is virtually zero. It's still theoretically possible, but your risk is much, much lower than if your friend came over to your residence hall room. So what we're doing is all about minimizing the risk to students to catch this virus. Again, we know this age group is going to be asymptomatic more than symptomatic. So we're going to know that most of these students aren't going to know that you have the virus. So we're going to try to make sure that all of our policies are set up where you don't infect somebody else without knowing it. And so that's really the goal. That's why more than likely guests inside the residence halls are probably not going to happen for that reason. We don't want you infecting somebody else without knowing about it.
okay. Is there a limit on who/how many people can help me move in on the 4th?
We've said you can bring 2 guests only. So only you and 2 other people.
Okay. Where do I sign up for my move-in time slot? Sounds like there was a link in the email that was sent on Friday. If you are unable to find that, make sure you're checking your Oglethorpe email for sure. If you're unable to find that email in your inbox, please let your admission counselor know and we can try to make sure you get the right link since they're different depending on the different residence halls. Okay. Do you know what kind of test they are using for us, like a nose swab or spit test? Do we know what kind of test the COVID test is going to be?
It will be the nasal swab. It's the rapid test. It is the nose swab. They did tell me, because I was very nervous about this, It's not the one that goes all the way up into your brain. It's just a nasal swab that will be there. So it's, I don't believe it's pleasant, but it's not extremely uncomfortable like everyone talked about with the one that goes all the way up really, really deep inside of your nose.
Okay. What if you chose the 7th or choose the 7th as your move-in date in regards to time? So how will it work if students are moving in on September 7th instead of the 4th?
Sure. So if anybody wants to move in on the 7th, we're allowing them to do that. It's the day before classes start. And if you want to stay at home for the orientation period, you're welcome to do that. The biggest thing with the 7th is two things. One, there's only afternoon slots available. So testing on the 7th is not, the testing for those that move in on the 7th is not actually happening until the 8th because it's Labor Day. And so our testing partner cannot test on the 7th. So if you move in on the 8th, you can only move in on the afternoon, and you're going to be asked to isolate in your room that night. We're going to deliver the meals to you. Excuse me. We're going to deliver meals to you that night, and we'll ask you to get tested that next morning on the 8th. You'll get a move-in slot on the 8th to be able to, once, kind of whatever based on your classes. So we're going to deliver dinner and we're going to deliver breakfast to you the next day. So then you can be tested after that. If you do want to move in on the 7th because you want to stay home for orientation weekend and do it at home, that's okay. Just email us and we'll give you a link to sign up for that move-in date on the 7th.
Okay. Are there events and or campus tours on move-in weekends?
Campus tours, I believe, Kelly, that's probably, I reckon, from you guys, but that won't happen. Is there events? Short answer, no. I want to be frank with everybody here. Short answer is no. We are gonna really limit anything on campus to being virtual for at least those first 2 weeks. Again, trying to minimize any potential spread of the virus on our campus. So anything during that first 2 weeks is going to be virtual. All of your orientation is virtual. All of the welcome week activities are virtual. So we're going to really limit it after that. After that first 2 weeks, or after we have a compliance with our healthcare app, and we see limited spread on campus, then we'll start to discuss whether the in-person events will be able to happen or not.
Okay. Let's see. Do we need to buy a thermometer to keep in our rooms for filling out the health screening? I'm sure one is recommended, but is that required for the health screening app?
I was just about to type an answer to that one, Kelly. So good, great. If you want to bring your own thermometer, please go ahead. We encourage you to bring your own personal thermometer. It's good just in general to have one, whether it's COVID or not. We always recommend students bring kind of a first aid kit anyways. So encouraged, not required. We do have thermometers that we're going to give to residents whenever they get to campus. They're the very simple, just oral thermometers. But if you want to bring your own personal one rather than getting one from us, highly encouraged to do that. Make sure you know how to use it. I would, if you're going to buy one now. Start using it over the next couple of weeks where you check your temperature daily, and make sure you know how to use it, understand what it means. Another thing I've learned in this COVID process is everybody's body temperature is a little bit different, right? Not all of us are 98.6 like we were all probably raised to think. Some of us might have a 99 temperature. Some of us might have a 97. So, if you know consistently, hey, my body temperature is actually 98.1, all of a sudden 99.5 or 100 on the dot, that's actually a little bit higher than me who actually have a body temperature that's right at 99. So mine, if it was 99.5, that's not as big a deal to me as somebody who might have a 98.1 body temperature. So get used to what your body is telling you, and pay attention to that over the next couple of weeks.
Okay, are we allowed to go shopping within Petro Pause, or should we get any necessary groceries before we move in? We also had a question about if they get to their dorm and realize they need something, are they going to be able to go to the store or have parent bring them something?
Same kind of thing. We're going to encourage you to bring everything you need on campus. So if there becomes a time when you realize, hey, I didn't bring enough toothpaste, for example, you can go to the grocery store and get toothpaste. We're not going to completely limit you and lock you into campus. But if you do that, we're asking you to go to the grocery store, wear a mask, maintain social distance, wash your hands before you get to the grocery store, wash your hands when you come home from the grocery store, and wash anything you touch in there. So wash your car steering wheel, wash your door, wash the handle to get into your room. Things like that to try to limit the spread of the virus are really, really important during that petrol pause. As far as I think the other part of the question was, can our parent bring something to us? Again, guests are not allowed on campus, so we would encourage you, if that happens, let's say you left your favorite pillow at home, you'd have to meet your parent off campus. So you'd meet them off campus to get whatever you need, and you come back to campus. Your parent could not come onto campus.
Okay, so we'll transition quick for a minute to some non-COVID related questions and make sure we involve our CAs and stuff, and then we'll come back. My son is in Trayer. What kind of stuff is not allowed, such as candles, and what kind of items do you recommend?
I was actually just answering this question. However, so candles are not allowed, toaster ovens, air fryers, Instant Pots, almost anything that can essentially burn. However, microwaves, they are allowed, refrigerators are allowed. And then things that we recommend that you bring, really anything that you typically use at home that's not dangerous, something that's not illegal. And Talia may actually have something better than that because she's the CA of Trayer. So
I was going to say, I recommend a TV, your laptop. You're definitely going to need your laptop this semester, but a TV. A lot of past students have brought Xboxes, PS4, I don't know what they're called, PS4s, is that what they're called? Anything that can stream as it connects to the Wi-Fi. Like Justin said, microwave, a coffee maker, like a Keurig. I suggest that, and a mini fridge. Other than that, the rooms come with beds, and they come with desks and desk chairs, and you have drawers, and you have a huge closet. So you don't really need that much else.
Bring stuff that'll be fun for you to do while you're there, right? We're going to have more limited interaction than we normally would. So whatever you enjoy doing that fits into those categories they mentioned, bring those, and bring stuff that makes it feel homey for you. So, you don't have to go crazy with decorations or anything, but you definitely want to make it your space because you'll be spending a lot of time there regardless. So make sure that it feels homey to you. Bring some stuff that reminds you of home, favorite, whatever it is from your room. You can definitely bring those things.
And I'll say also, we haven't updated what to bring PDF and list on our website. I sent that to Kelly, and so we can make sure that you all receive that. Like Blake said, that kind of petrol preparedness kit where you're thinking of your first aid, you're going to be provided some masks and the thermometer and other items, but anything that you want to bring is perfectly fine. But yeah, there's a lot on the list, so you don't need everything. I think another thing is you can always pack light and then grab extra items as you need them. So yeah.
Okay, I just added those links to the chat, so feel free to grab those, and there's lots of good information on the Residence Life website as well. Someone asks, will we be provided paper towels and or toilet paper? Anyone?
You will not. Sorry, I was trying to think. I was trying to make sure I hadn't heard anything different. No, those things will be, you'll need to provide on your own.
Okay, and you'll have your own bathroom, so that would be in charge of having those things stocked. So somebody in Trayer, will we be able to utilize the other bed? So I'm guessing what they're asking are both bed mattresses going to be in there since only one student per, or will that be removed?
They will be in there. So if you think about Trayer, there's the Jack and Jill with the bathroom in the middle. The other side of the suite will be closed, so you won't have access to like all 4 beds. But the 2 beds that are in your space, you will have access to. If you're in like Job Hansen or Bowden Magby or a space like that, the B and C rooms will be closed, so you'll only have access to 1 bed. You won't have access to those others, but in a place like Trayer or Dempsey or the Upper Quad, you will have access to the 2nd bed in your space.
Okay. Are wax burners allowed as an alternative to candles that are not allowed? Can they bring wax burners?
Yes, you can do the candle melt holders. I think there's a specific specific, you got it. Yes, you can bring those. And as long as it's not candles, as long as it doesn't have a flame to it, then you're good to go there with the scenty stuff. I think air diffusers are also another hit. So like the essential oil diffusers tend to work well also.
Gotcha. All right. What about lofting our bed? Do we need to tell someone before moving in that we want the bed lofted? I believe it said online we are not supposed to loft them ourselves.
You are not. What will happen is after move-in, our maintenance team, you'll be able to submit a maintenance request to have your bed lofted if you want it. It will depend on where you live on kind of how much your bed can actually be lofted. Most of the time they can only be raised just a small bit. There's no like actual lofting where it's really, really high. But that will have to be done by our maintenance team. And so after move-in, you'll be able to request that.
And then an alternative would be just like Walmart, Target, those places sell bed risers. You can put those under the bed and they can raise it quite high.
Okay. If I'm not bringing a car to campus, would a bike be a good alternative? If so, where could I store it? I'll mention right off the bat that you don't need either to get around campus. Most folks wouldn't because it's small and it's not, nothing's far enough apart that you can't walk there. But in terms of getting around off campus, which again, we are discouraging, but in general, a bike at Oglethorpe, is it a good thing to maybe bring at some point? Where would they store it? If so.
I don't see why not. I think as we talk about alternatives to recreation and getting outside, I see it as a positive. I know someone had mentioned running errands. I think that that's fine as well. But I would say yes. There are also bike racks. I think at every dorm, if I'm incorrect, or at least close enough on the campus where you could place them. There's some at TLCC, and then some at Upper Quad, and then on other areas of the campus. We also have a bike rental system. I think it's just 2 bikes. So if you don't come with a bike, you can work to be able to just rent one of those out.
Okay, just bring a bike lock, it sounds like, and there's plenty of places to store it.
And a helmet.
And a helmet.
Don't forget that.
To add on to the bikes, are we allowed to ride skateboards on campus? I don't know if anybody knows I would think so. If you're safe, right? I don't think there's any rules against riding a skateboard.
It's not inside. I think we've had a couple people that have tried the scooters inside. As long as it's outside, you're good.
Yeah, bring fun stuff that you can do outside because it's good to stay active. Okay, we can move a little bit back into some of these other questions since there's still quite a few of them in here. This person asked, before the pandemic, I was living in a suite with 2 roommates in Trayer. With the safety measurements that are being taken, I'm pretty sure I have only 1 roommate now. Is this accurate? Is this 1 roommate out of my, okay, I'm not gonna get too into the weeds, but a Trayer person, would they have a roommate at all or would they be in their own, it sounds because Trayer only has 1 bathroom in the suite, correct?
Yeah, so there is, and I was gonna, I can look at whoever asked the question, but basically, if you're in Trayer still, based on your new updated assignment, if you're in Trayer, there's nobody with you. You are completely by yourself. There was some instances where we moved people from Trayer to like Bowdoin Magby or Johansen. In that case, you might be with somebody who was the original roommate or suite mate. What the goal was, if we moved you, we tried to move you and your roommate. So if you had a roommate where you guys were a mutual match or where you were in a roommate group and you were, together still, we tried to move both of you over to Bowdoin Magby so you would still be with somebody you knew. So if you were the person that actually got moved over to Bowdoin Magby, probably that other person is somebody that you were already originally with. You just need to check eRes Life and you'll be able to see who that person is and see what your room number is. If you're in Trayer, you're by yourself.
Okay, and if you have trouble finding your assignment, either in the email or in your eRes Life count, let us know because we want to make sure you know where you're living and everything. So you should be able to access that. If you can't, please let us know. Let's see here. Will the residents be responsible to clean their own bathrooms?
Yes. What the cleaning schedule will look like is you're responsible for your daily cleanings in your bathroom, especially since it's just you. what our facilities team is committed to doing is they're going to fog your room, your bathroom once a month. So fogging means that they're going to come in with the fancy little foggers that you've seen on the news and stuff like that everywhere. And they're going to spray the area, and it kills anything. It kills the flu, it kills COVID, it kills all the stuff, right? It's it's used for a lot of things. And they're going to do that monthly. And then they're going to deep clean your bathroom once during the semester and then over the break. But for like daily normal cleanings, just to keep your toilet and keep your sink clean, you're encouraged to do that on your own.
Okay. If you leave campus, do you have to ask for permission / notify someone?
You don't. And Kelly, I'm going to answer the work questions as well, since they're kind of tied together here. If you're leaving campus, the campus is not completely closed, right? Like, we're not tracking you coming in and out, as you might imagine. So you don't have to let anybody know. But just what I've encouraged people to do is keep in mind the community here. So running to the grocery store, right? Publix is right next door. Running to Publix, grabbing your toothpaste and coming back, no big deal, right? Like we've all been to the grocery store in the last few months. We all know how to social distance in the grocery store and keep ourselves safe by doing that. Going down to an indoor restaurant in Atlanta, going to, like, let's say at the Georgia Aquarium, right? Things that are like more involved or more high risk, we're just encouraging you to stay away from and not do. This kind of goes the same in hand with work. So if you're working, the only thing I can think of is you're a park ranger, right? Like, you're working at a local park and you're cleaning up the park, or you are a guide in the park, right? Like, outdoor, maintain social distance and a mask, pretty low risk work job, right? So that's not as big of a deal as if you're working off campus. If you're working in a high risk job, right? If you're working in a restaurant, working in an indoor shop, or something like that, it's more high risk. It's a little more dangerous for our community. So we're asking that all work be suspended for that petrol pause period of the first 2 weeks. We're asking you to stay on campus and not work during that time period, if at all possible. If it's not possible, we understand. There are students that have to work. We know that 2 weeks is a long time. It's 2 whole paychecks for some people, and it's just not possible. So if you are going to do that, try to do your best to maintain social distance. If you're working in a restaurant, maybe ask to be in the back of the house, not serving, if that's possible. Maybe ask to be outside on the patio serving rather than being inside. Do your best to limit your exposure to other people. If you're working in a shop, make sure you're maintaining your social distance. You're always wearing a mask. Doing the things you can do to limit the spread of the virus when you're outside of our community is really, really important, so you don't bring it back to the community. So if at all possible, we ask that you not work. If you have to work, try to do your best to do all the safe practices as possible. We were on with the public health consultants the other day, and they were talking about how one of them's partner is a doctor, and she comes home and she takes a shower, she washes her clothes, she washes her hands, and then washes her phone, her keys, and her door handles, right? So anything that she has touched, she wipes down and cleans before she interacts with her family at all. And those are the kinds of things that we're going to try to do some education around. If you're out working, trying to do those things to where when you come back, you're limiting how much you're spreading the virus. Not coming from work immediately to the dining hall, then immediately outside to talk with your friends, and then going back to your room. Go take care of yourself first, and then go do those other things.
Okay. If we are in Bowdoin-Magby this semester, will we have to move out next semester? So that's not just specific to Bowdoin-Magby, but are students going to be needing to move next semester?
Yeah, the spring is going to be interesting. There's a lot of unknowns with the way the spring housing is going to work. I'll just be honest. We're going to try to work on a plan that does a couple different things. We're going to hope that it can be a plan where students that are moved are able to stay where they want to, if they want to, and if at all possible. So for places like Bowdoin-Magby, we're probably going to ask you to move since it's an upper class residence hall. And so we're going to probably ask you to move. That's not set in stone, though. And that's not to say that spring's not going to look any different than the fall. We just don't know, right? So I think a lot of the spring questions we're going to have to hold off on. Our goal is to make a fair process for everybody, both those that are on campus and those that left campus in the fall. And so we're going to try to work on that and get more information out to you as soon as possible. I would expect that to come out in sometime in October before our spring housing launches in November.
Okay. Will we be allowed to order things from online retailers and have them delivered to campus if needed? And I would go ahead and extend that to, can students order food to come to campus?
Yes, you can. You can do contactless delivery if you want to order food. I saw another question about the dining hall. The dining hall is going to be open, so if you want to order food, you can. The dining hall will be open and we'll be socially distancing. During the first little while, it probably will be a lot of grab and go options where you'll be able to pick what you want to eat, but it'll be grab and go, taken back to your residence hall, taken outside to eat, things like that. And then after this kind of 2-week period, or after we feel like we have a good handle on the virus on campus, there might be more options for eating in person in the TLCC. But yes, you can order food, and the dining hall will also be open and available for students to eat at.
Okay. After the Petro pause is over, will there be any socially distant events or residence hall things? So after that 2 weeks, are we hoping for there to be, any type of events on campus?
Hopeful, yes. Probable, maybe not. I think this is where we've kind of done this over the last few weeks, where we continued to say we're going to take it 2 weeks at a time and see where we're at. Our public health consultants have given us kind of 3 phases: the red, yellow, and green phase. We're in the red phase right now. Community spread around Atlanta is high. There's a high risk for the students that are coming on campus because you're coming from somewhere off campus. And during that red phase, nothing is allowed on campus. What we're hoping is that we get out of red phase in that first couple weeks, and then we get to move to yellow phase. Green phase is not happening this fall because green phase means the virus is over, right? That's not going to happen this fall. Yellow is where we want to be. We want to get into that yellow period where we can have some events on campus, given they're socially distanced, given they're outside, given everybody wears a mask, and given that there's a low population there. So that's the goal, is we get out of red and get to yellow as quickly as possible. We don't know if that will be 2 weeks. We don't know if that will be 1 month. We don't know if that will be 2 months. We're going to have to continue to work with our public health consultants and let them look at our data, look at how many people have the virus, look at the community spread around Atlanta before we can move from one phase to another over the fall semester.
And I just want to add that even though we don't have these fully in-person together events, that the goal is to try and create community virtually, that we still will have events, but they'll be virtual, that you'll be doing some things outside or online, but it doesn't mean that you won't be connected to anyone, that you won't know your RAs, that you won't know us and see us in different spaces. So, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Is it too late to request student counseling? Absolutely not. You can request counseling at any time, and we encourage you to. I can get the link and put more information about how you can reach out to our counseling staff. And, as the start of the fall semester is a great time to do that. So, of course, it is not too late to request that or set that up. It'll be easier even when, once you're on campus, but we definitely love to know if you're interested. I can send that. Would anyone else want to say anything about student counseling? Okay, so I will send that. Let's see. We had a couple questions about the school store, whether it will be open. I am actually not sure about whether it will be, the actual store will be open. Does anybody know if folks can go in there and buy things?
The hope is that it will be open. It just recently got redone. I was sitting there watching them work earlier. The hope is that it will be open. We got to make sure that we can do it in a safe way and that it's safe for students to go in and out of the campus store. But the goal will be for it to open. I don't know if we have a final answer on that yet, but hopefully we'll be able to.
Okay. And the bookstore online is definitely open if you need to get books or anything. And there's, other non-book items online as well. But TBD will give more information about the physical school store if you want to get fun sweatshirts and stuff like that. Let's see, what else? We have a question for Trayer resident. What would you do if you would like the extra bed removed from your room? I don't know if that's a possibility. Thoughts on if they would want the extra bed removed?
So any furniture that's in your room when you move in will have to stay there until you move, and it'll have to be there whenever you move out. So any extra furniture that's there, whether that's a bed, desk, chair, anything like that, it'll have to stay in there. The biggest thing is we don't have storage space for that. So we don't have anywhere to put it if we wanted to allow students to take it out. We just don't have a lot of space to put it.
Okay. Is there a limit on outside activity as long as we maintain masks and social distancing? So is there a limit to what they can do outside of their room?
Not necessarily. Again, if you're wearing a mask and you're maintaining social distance, then you can pretty much be okay to be outside. I think I go to this analogy a lot. It's kind of hard to play sports outside during this time. Like you can't really throw a frisbee because then everybody's touching the frisbee, or you can't really play soccer because then everybody's touching the soccer ball. But being outside, enjoying the weather outside. Atlanta's going to get really, really pretty in September, and we're going to be in a lot better weather than we are right now. It's of course pouring down rain here today, but being outside is going to be highly encouraged. There won't necessarily, again, be a limit to it, just as long as you're doing things safely.
Perfect. Will the school gym be open for use? No, the school gym will not be open for use for the fall semester for sure. Yeah, no, the gym will not be open. Let's see. If we have a sibling on campus, will we still be required to social distance from them? Not sure if that would really make a difference. We still don't want either of you to get sick.
Yes, that's a good question. I think what Kelly said is right. We don't want either of you to get sick. And what I've kind of said this about a lot of different things is it's not so much about you and your roommate or you and that one other person. It's about the other people and how that compounds, right? So if you visit your sibling in their room, well, you're potentially infecting or coming in contact with their roommate, and then you're going back to your room. Well, then you're in contact with your roommate as well. So then all of a sudden that kind of just spirals to where it's a whole lot more people that are being in contact with each other rather than just you two. So again, my best advice right now is if you want to meet people, if you want to like talk with people and you want to say like, I know this is my friend and we want to go hang out, do it outside and do it in a safe, socially distanced way with a mask on. And that's going to limit and solve a lot of problems.
If you are exercising outside, must you wear a mask?
I would say always have your mask handy if you're on campus, because campus safety might come up and chat with you. Someone might come up and chat, so you want to have the ability to put it back on. I think if you're just walking on the field, not necessarily, or the track and field. But yeah, keep it with you if you're moving around campus.
Will the library and campus buildings be open, or will students be limited to staying in their dorm and the dining hall? I know there's still some conversation about which buildings will be open and which will not. Do we have any information right now about what buildings students can access?
We don't have anything definitive, so I don't want to say things and then they might change. So I think those definitive answers will probably most likely come out by the end of this week or first of next week.
Okay. Should we try to get books shipped to our home before coming to campus, or can we have them shipped to campus?
Good question. The mailroom will still be open, so you still will be able to receive packages at the mailroom and check your mail there. So you can have them shipped to campus. Obviously, it's going to be safer if you want to have them shipped to your house. I know we're coming up on about 1 week or so. So if you can Amazon Prime, get there in 2 days, great. If not, then maybe have them shipped to campus so you can make sure you have them without having to go home and get them.
Okay. All right, there is one in here that I'm trying to remember the answer to because we've gone back and forth, wondering about when they get their prizes from these summer map events. For the students that are not going to be living on campus, we're mailing them to those students. But since who are going to be living on campus, our initial goal was to hand them out to students. Do you guys remember if that is still, are we putting all that stuff together, or are we going to not do that to hand out?
My understanding from Debbie Kelly is that we'll have those things for you at Movein. Thank you, if I could say that right. As well as your Oglethorpe masks. Those things will also be available at Movein for you. They should be probably in your room whenever you arrive on campus.
Okay, so if you participated in MAP over the summer and you earned some swag, we will have that for you on campus. If you did not, you might not get anything, but you'll still get masks and other PPE type stuff that every student will receive. So you can expect to get that when you get here. Can we bring 2 cars when moving in if all my stuff doesn't fit into one? Will there be restrictions on how many cars folks can bring when they move in?
No, you're welcome to bring 2 cars. Again, just try to limit your thing to 2 guests. I think Natasha mentioned it earlier, pack light. Don't, there is going to be opportunities where you can get more stuff later. We find every year people bring a lot of stuff and then you accumulate more stuff throughout the whole year. So, do your best to pack light, and you'll realize you don't need as much as you might think. But if you have to bring 2 cars, we understand, it'll be okay.
All right, we have answered. Oh, okay, there's one more question. Okay, so one of the reasons I requested Trayer Hall is because of the kitchen that's available to students. I'm assuming this kitchen will not be for use while we are in quarantine. So will that common area be off limits to students during this time?
So any common room kitchens will not be open for the fall semester. Common rooms are going to be closed during the petrol pause because we don't want to try to avoid any kind of congregation. But after that, common rooms will be open, but common kitchens will not be open for the entire fall semester.
Okay. Is there anything specific we need to know about Dempsey Hall? That's a general question. I don't know if they mean with COVID or just in general, but anything that Dempsey residents should be aware of.
Talia, you want to take that one?
Can you repeat in Dempsey?
In Dempsey, is there anything Dempsey residents should be aware of, was the question.
You'll have a really big space because there's one bathroom. But no, I mean, it's pretty much the same all across the campus. Your room is just your own room. So you'll just have a little extra space compared maybe to other spaces to keep in the common room, so to say. So like, instead of keeping your fridge in your room, you can put it in the common room instead, stuff like that.
Okay. Somebody asked, what will orientation look like this year? We are having a separate orientation webinar tomorrow at 4 p.m. that we'd love to have you join us if you can. We'll also record it, so if you can't make it, we'll post that as well. So we'll have a whole hour about orientation and the welcome weekend and those virtual events. So I don't think we'll go into it right now, but those events will be virtual for the most part or fully. So there's information about that on our website, but we'll have 2 folks from the Campus Live staff who will be here to talk all about it. So please feel free to join us tomorrow at 4 o'clock. That information was emailed to you on Monday. I'll send out a text about it tomorrow too. So we'd love to have you join us or watch the recording later. And then I think that is about it. If you have more questions that we weren't able to cover, we're pretty much out of time. You can definitely email the admission counselor that you've been assigned. So you should have all their contact information. You're welcome to reach out directly to us if you would like us to answer more specific questions or find out from the Residence Life staff or anybody else on campus. So please feel free to reach out. If you, like I said, have not been able to access the email that Blake referred to that was sent out on Friday, or you cannot find your new housing assignment, please do let us know. We do not want you feeling confused or like you don't know what's coming up. Make sure you do sign up for a spot for move-in, so either on the 4th or the 7th. Please do that. We don't want to have to assign you a space that won't work as well for you, so please make sure to sign up. If you have any trouble, again, let us know. we would be happy to help you. Is there any closing things that anybody would like to mention? Other than we're really excited to welcome you. If you have more questions, please let us know. But we're still gonna make this as fun a semester as we possibly can. We really still want to get to know you guys. So we're glad that you're still going to be on campus with us. Anything else anybody wants to mention? All set? All right, thank you guys so much. If you need the recording, just let us know. If you missed anything, we'll be happy to send it out. We're looking forward to seeing you soon, and reach out if you need anything. Bye.